How would you like to make your first million? And today we have Saji Madapat with us, and he is a BIG4 Global Strategy, decoding US-China competition with and solution. So Saji, tell us, what are the 5 steps that you recommend entrepreneurs in order to make the first million?
Welcome to Unstoppable Podcast with Harry Sardinas, inspiring conversations with influential millionaires, investors, thought leaders, entrepreneurs who are making a massive difference with their innovative products and services, and sharing the challenges and wisdom of how they sold their first million.
First of all, Harry, thank you for this opportunity. I'm a big fan of yours, and I'm truly honored to be on this platform.
Honor is mine.
Welcome. Honor. Yeah, I'm afraid I do have a contrarian perspective. Maybe I may need to confess something,
Good. We're looking forward to hear it.
Yeah, I spent about over 3 decades, faking some of those, helping companies to fake their successes. And I played in various, I've been to around 18 countries around the world, did maybe 40 different business systems I have seen all around the world. And I was primarily in the business of financial transformation, lack of a better word, extraction economy. I've seen my fair share of the world. The way I looked, in 2008, with all the economic tsunami happening, I was doing pretty well. I was doing extremely, those days were the heydays of, this kind of financial transformation. Again, I pitched to one of the, back then my client, I pitched the client, about saving the economy, or saving the company, or, making them looking good, Some of my presentations were around firing around, as a result, around 10,000 people or several thousand people got fired.
Wow.
The company saved significant amount.
Wow.
And the CEO received around, I think, $20 million bonus out of it.
Wow.
But that made me really, really sick at the end of the day. The stock went up, and but I realized, what the hell am I doing with my own, especially with the 2008, what is happening around, That is when I realized I did a little bit of soul searching. I become a victim of, let me admit, I become a victim of my own success back then, So then I had an opportunity to visit, spend as a part of soul searching, visit some of the Cambodian jungles. You may know the Pol Pot, and like the killing fields. I spent a little bit of time.
Wow.
In that part of the world, did a little bit of soul searching, as a part of my journey. So then I realized, what the hell am I doing with my life? What the hell am I doing with, with this kind of, Then I come out with some sort of 5-step formula, or, some sort of methodology. So I realized, and when whatever, especially when we are looking at in the entrepreneurial world, in this part of the world is, the pilgrim, the Mecca of, this part of the world is Silicon Valley. They typically pitch to the Silicon Valley, the pitch deck. They come out with a pitch deck. I realize that is the wrong way of. It may be, yes, the companies may be short-term, they may be successful, but something which I learned from, especially my Cambodian journey, if you can't explain it to what the hell are you doing with the stuff, the pitch deck to your grandmother, if you can't explain it to that person, you're failing it. You need to pitch to the, whatever you're pitching, you need to make sure that your grandmother is, knowledgeable, like she can accept it.
And I can understand. There are some pitches out there that look like a PhD, right?
PhD, and like, again, pleasing to the VCs and that kind of like venture capitalist and that kind of stuff. Yes, it may work in short term, but not in long term. The second aspect is about, like when we are building something. So again, in this kind of world, like the lean startup is the big, big catchphrasey word. But we are building on a quicksand. When you're building, when you're trying to build something, you need to build it from the perspective of, you need to build a business like a medieval castle. You need to build it on a solid rock foundation, not on the quicksand. The third thing, like when you're trying to build, especially when you look in this part of the world, when you're hiring from the Silicon Valley perspective or Wall Street perspective, so they're looking for big way the hunters. They're looking for the short-term mentality people. They're always chasing the next kill. But you need to look at, especially with the emergence of China, you need to look at the cultural aspect. They're looking their horizon is not from a quarterly perspective or yearly perspective. They're looking from a century or half a century perspective. They're like a farmers. You need to. My third aspect is about the formula is you need to be not a hunter. You need to be a farmer. You need to have a farmer long-term mindset. The fourth one, maybe I may look at it from again, typically when you look at when you're looking at building an organization, many of these today's, especially in the Silicon Valley, or this kind of organization, they're looking for very short-term mentality. They're looking at it from a perspective: when can I exit, not enter? How soon can I sell it? And how soon, again, you're looking at the people from a quarterly perspective or in a very short-term mentality. Versus you need to look take the money from the people with a patient capital. You need to look at from a long-term. You're not looking for an exit. You're trying to build from an organization from a half a century perspective. You need to look at from the build to last. That kind of perspective. Then maybe my fifth aspect is, again, especially in this kind of, especially in today's political world, I need to be careful what I'm getting into. So you'll be surrounded by the people with, yes bosses, people who agrees with you. If somebody, agree with you in the term, you're not learning anything from that person. You need to be surrounded by the people, the right people around you, those who don't agree with you. And you need to build from that perspective again. So those are my 5 principles in like the first, you need to look at not from a Silicon. When you're pitching something, you need to pitch not from the Silicon Valley duck perspective. You need to pitch it to your grandmother. Make sure that she accepts it. The second aspect is when you're building something, don't build on the lean startup or the quicksand. When you're build something like a medieval castle. Mm-hmm. The third one is you need to look for, not for the hunters, the short-term mentality people. You need to look for farmers from a long-term, perspective. The fourth one is, when you're pitching, again, pitching for the money, when you're looking for the investors, look for not for the typical quarterly minded, VCs and that kind of a world. You need to look for a patient capital, the long term, like those who are going to be their next generation is going to be with you from that perspective. Fifth one is, when you're hiring somebody, don't hire the yes bosses, people, those who disagree with you. That's how, you can build that. And in summary, when you need to look, like again, traditionally in this part of the world, they look for the unicorns. But instead of unicorn, you need to look for from a camel. You need to, build a camel. So the camel can survive all the storms and the desert, Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Those are my 5 points.
Oh, wow. I love them. Beat the camel, ride on the unicorn. And this I'm interested, very interesting that you brought this up because I interact a lot with tech entrepreneurs on the tech space. Mm-hmm. And when I have similar conversation with what you share, what they're telling me, Harry, you don't understand, tech is different. Tech is different of a traditional business. So they're coming exactly with this mentality that you share, bait to exit, the quality will be in the Unicom, this BC language, and with this technology, is gonna, you're gonna make billions, and this is the language that maybe works in Silicon Valley, and maybe a lot of people have become successful raising capital like that. But at the end of the day, business is business. It doesn't matter if it's tech, and if you build something that will outlast you, mm-hmm. and and the business is solid enough, you don't need investor in the first place. My first business, I grew it, and the money that I make, I reinvested again. I'm scaling up and reinvesting again. I never need, in fact, any of my business, I never raise capital. If you build from the beginning to last, right, with the solid mindset, okay, in the future, if you need some capital, the investor will come to you. But sometimes and then you see, Saji, thousands of people in London, where I'm based, United States, everywhere, everybody like crazy looking for funding. Like crazy looking for funding. And then on the other hand, VCs have been in this podcast. They say, well, Harry, out of 100 pitch deck, I pick one. So what chance do you have if this is your business model, that, oh, I'm going to do a pitch deck and I'm going to raise funds for an early investor or angel investor? If all you have is building a business, hoping that you're going to get the capital to implement your idea, your chances are very tiny. The other way is exactly what you described. How about if, rather than spend time, money, energy, trying to find some investor to persuade or convince them, you develop an MVP, a minimum viable product, very minimum, that actually do something, and go out there and try to see if people like it, if they're willing to pay for it, if this solution is something that the market needs. But nobody wants to do this job, Saji. Everybody is right behind the easy money. Even the other day, an investor, I was a very early in stage investor, came to the podcast. And I was telling them, I would share with him. I said, look, those times that the VC or early investor write a check to you with an idea, a gun, people need to have at least an MVP or something. And he was saying, no, Harry, I'm one of those early stage investors that even give them funds only with the idea and to people. They don't even develop it. They don't even sell it. They haven't even developed it. So tell us, what do you think? But again, they will take 20% of the capital, or something that is not even taking 20% of that company, right? That is not even live off the ground. So what is your view on all this? Is tech really different, or is actually business is business? It doesn't matter if it's tech, it doesn't matter if it's retail, and if you don't have some solid fundamentals, what you describe, tech, okay, we can agree that tech business has high valuation, that other business, okay, that's okay, they have scalability, but at the end of the day, business is business. So what's your point of view on all this?
That is a great point. I agree with most of the points you very much you raised. But at the end of the day, that silicon is silicon. It is, whether it's made of sand or again, the business is business. And you need to look at again, if you're chasing, again, I understand in today's world, around 75% of the money goes in Silicon Valley, chasing the AI, all those fad, again, there's almost all the money. If you look at in this part of the world, in the US, it's around, I think the most of the 85% of, I forgot the exact percentage, significant percentage of those venture funding is going in 5 counties in this part, where 5% of the people, almost, the US people lives, primarily in the East, on the Silicon Valley or in New York, like that area. The rest of the country is pretty much treated as a flyover in the desert. And unfortunately, all the money is, if you name AI or some of the silicon stuff, people are, all the VCs are, VCs and all the traditional investors, they pour millions into that. Unfortunately, in the middle way, that's where the hard investment opportunities are. There's very few. That's a reality. I understand, but at the end of the day, if you're looking at that easy money, easy comes, easy goes. Especially in today's economic environment, with all the geopolitical stuffs happening. So if you need to look at this is where again you need to look at mentality from a hunter versus farmer kind of mentality. And over here, the hunters, easy, they're looking for a quick kill, quick catch. Versus farmers, they're looking for if you need again, you need to look at again, covering based on my, as I mentioned in my book, you need to have a look. You need to understand, you need to look for, you need to have a long-term farmers kind of, mentality. Yeah.
So tell us
Again,
about
the
your
silicon
book.
is silicon. Yeah.
Tell us about your book. What's the title of your book?
This is I
Show
don't
it
know
to
whether you
us.
can see that. Yeah, this is the book.
Oh, wow.
So yeah,
I
the
love
book
the
is
cover.
the gods must be crazy. You might have heard about the movie 1980s African comedy movie. I don't know, like the Kalahari Bushmans. They're getting the
Oh,
cockboarders.
it's very original.
Yeah, and they had
The
no
title. So
idea.
what's the title again? Can you repeat the title because there are people listening in the car
Yeah,
that they can.
it is a little bit done in an artistic way. The main title is "The Gods Must Be Crazy,"
I
and
like
the
the title.
subtitle is "A Rooseveltian Renaissance for Trump 2.0 American Renewal in the Chinese AI Century." Especially some of the points you're raising, versus we are getting into a Chinese AI century, and versus where we are looking at especially our today in the Silicon Valley is looking from a entrepreneurial class. Traditional entrepreneurial class is still in a outdated mindset, in the hunter mindset. Yeah.
So the technology in terms of AI, what is your point of view? Because some people, internet was a revolution, okay? But after internet, it came websites, it came blockchain, it came the cryptocurrency, it came the NFTs, and so this is like new flavor of the day within a revolution. So, however, generative AI, is that a revolution or is just one more flavor of a day? What's your opinion?
In short, we are living with the AI, we are living in an exponential age. Maybe a little bit of, I give a little bit of hitch on my background too. I'm a product of biggest business blunder in the world, the Y2K. I came here as a Y2K cyber coolie to fix the Armageddon code on,
Wow.
on those days, like the fixing the COBOL code. I happened to take a little bit of business route on the ERP,
Wow.
So that's how I entered in as a like ERP finance consultant, then go to the EPM, all the higher end of the CFO, so the financial transformation side of the business, and that's how. So what I noticed, especially it takes typically 4-5 years to transform. Back in those days, and then again the technology wise, it was the COBOL, till 70s through 90s were the era of the mainframe. Then came, the ERP, and along with that one, the Silicon Valley, like the bubble came, all the internet bubble came in early 2000. Then got into from the business system perspective, got into the EPM, enterprise performance management, and all those kind of fads. So the point is, typically back in those early days, COBOL to the ERP, the business kind of systems, relational data management system, took about 20-30 years. Then it's accelerated it used to happen every 3 years. Now, with the AI coming into the picture, every other month or every couple of weeks, Gemini or Grok or like OpenAI, they are all Claude. They're all releasing much exponential, much capable system. So the point is, we are in an exponential age. So it is this time.
It's moving faster than before with COBOL. Since the time of COBOL and to now, it's moving. It's like we're flying, right?
Yeah, it used to COBOL to the mainframe to the relational database management system. It took about 3 years to. Then every every stages, like again, every 4-5 years. Now it brought it down to every couple of years. Now every, not just months, but couple of weeks,
Oh
the
my God.
AI is learning itself. So
Yeah.
that is a world we are living in, and especially as an entrepreneur, as a company. So instead of handing over everything to, again, purely focusing on AI itself, you need to look at from how you can leverage, you can take advantage of, you need to bring the human capital to the AI.
You won't believe the other day I'm playing tennis with a group of friends, yeah,
uh-huh.
and then they say, okay, let's create a WhatsApp group so we all know when we're gonna play tennis, and they create a WhatsApp group, and somebody said, okay, but we need a logo, and it was after 30 seconds it came a professional logo. And I'm like shocked. And I'm like asking to my friends on tennis, wow, who's a graphic designer here? A very comprehensive logo, very depth, well designed, comprehensive logo. And I asked my friend, oh, I didn't know that anyone was graphic designer. The group said, no, he's the guy is a software developer. He just did it with AI. And it's like, um, I remember back, English is not my first language. I remember when I had to, back in the day, I'm telling you, 10 years ago when I started my business, if I need to write a letter for a contract or something it will take me a week, maybe more. I had to write in my own language, then find a friend who translate it, then make sure somebody read it, everything is correct, write it back. All this today in less than a minute. You got a well-written, perfect contract. So, so when it comes to tech and AI, and a lot of people say, well, AI will replace jobs, but the whole point is that if people don't embrace and start to use AI, it's not going to be job for anybody because the company is going to collapse, no? What's your message? What is your point of view on all this?
Again, as I mentioned, we are in an exponential age. You need to your point, yes, we need to embrace AI. If you don't embrace AI, you will be replaced. And if you bring AI to your workflow,
Word, you will
and
be.
if you, like again, to your point earlier, you need to know to develop the logo. You need to know how to collaborate with AI, what to ask, what kind of prompt you need to ask, how best what with if you make a slight changes to your prompt, it may be giving a completely different logo. So you need to understand how the AI system works, how it works, and you need to be creative. You need to use you need to come out with the right prompt, and you need to build it. Otherwise, traditionally, otherwise if you don't leverage it right, you'll be replaced, or you'll be, if you're asking the wrong questions to AI and the wrong,
you will be
you'll be getting the wrong logo, then your client won't be happy. So you need to,
so then do good and make money, right? We live in a world where we, from this broadcast, we are we talk a lot about the idea to become a global conscious entrepreneur, right? The movement that Mary Diamond and Lily they have been working on. So it's come from this idea to do good and make money at the same time. Now, electricity demand have increased worldwide, right? You see in countries like South America that it is a lot of power cut, and even in the United States. And of course, the electricity demand has increased. We have a lot of electric cars, and on top of that, we have all these engines that are using machine learning, and you need a special type of processor and a lot of computer power to process all this data. So, what do you think this AI revolution has to move parallel because exponentially the technology is advancing. But if we exponentially don't find a solution for computer power, um, what do you think is going to happen? Because we all, as a planet, we have only limited resources. And the more this technology goes out there, the more VCs are putting capital into this, the more bigger thing they are building without knowing. Well, if you take the energy from one place, you need to generate more energy, and this requires natural resources uh, or an advance in technology. So, how do you see the whole tech AI 360? Because back in the day, COBOL, when it didn't consume that much power, right? You didn't need to check so many database and process so large amount of data. So, what do you think that in terms of sustainability worldwide, this AI revolution can take us, and what can be done uh, in order to keep the planet healthy and do good and make money at the same time, right?
Yep. I may have a contrarian take on this one again.
Go for it.
I'm Memphis. I'm based, as I mentioned, I'm based in Memphis, Tennessee. This is where the largest, I think the biggest, the grok, the AI, system is situated.
Oh,
The data
wow.
center is situated in the world. The biggest computers, I think, based on
Wow,
Elon Musk
really?
claim. Based
Wow. That close to
So
you?
this is
Wow.
we consumers, like personally, again, my electric bill is also going
What happened with
going
your
up,
electric bills? Going up? There you go.
going up
Okay.
significantly. It is going to shoot
There
up
you go.
significantly. But on the other side, that's a way, like again, we don't have control on Elon Musk or this kind of play. Like again. But I do have I am also a beneficiary of some of this AI system. Like again, I can. But I believe, and till recently, my client was one of the major renewable firm in the world, Brookfield Renewable. They
Wow.
are the alternative,
Wow.
renewable in the renewable
It's a
space.
big industry
It's a
with a
huge
huge demand, yeah?
opportunity, huge
Huge
demand.
opportunity for renewable energy, right?
And yeah, I'm a big believer of abundance. There is a significant, the world is full of the like solar energy. The world is full, like again, we do have abundant wind energy. Yes, the traditional, like again, if you go in the traditional petrochemical the way or the coal industry, that may be polluting, but there is a lot of opportunity again. We can come out with the nuclear react, like the medium. I forgot the exact terminology. You don't need typically traditionally to build the nuclear power plant. It takes decade, but you can come out with the modular kind of nuclear reactors. The smaller scale reactors. Pretty quickly. So this kind of challenges gives us the opportunity to explore something new. Again, we are blessed with, especially in this part of the world, like the whole world is blessed with the solar energy and renewable, all kind of wind and all kind of energy sources. But we need to explore. We need to invest in that kind of area again. Yeah. The short term, yes, we'll be paying the price for the energy demand, but I think the long term, it is going to.
So now we live in a period of time where in the environment they want more American-made products, and they want to create more jobs. Still have to be sustainable, because to put a factory in United States, if you're going to employ so many people, that's going to be expensive. So the theory is that to produce effectively in United States, a lot of use of technology and AI will take place, so US can be competitive again and employ people rather than delocalize the production, like is what has been happening in the last 10 to 20 years. And so what do you really think that that US can bring? Because I remember in the 80s, in
Mhm.
the 80s, everything that you check, it was say made in USA. I remember
Mhm.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was
Now
a
it's
little bit
being made
made
in
in
China.
Japan, a little bit
Mhm.
made in Japan, and the rest made in US. This is
Mhm.
how it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
And 40 years on the line, now everything is made in China. So and the world is trying to balance out this production between the countries, right?
Mhm.
So, what do you think is the solution to bring back production to United States and also be competitive at the same time?
Yeah, back in 30, 40 years, yes, used to make around, I think, around 20%. I forgot the exact percentage. Significant portion of the manufacturing used to happen here. But unfortunately, with all the financial engineering, some of the topics which I mentioned, especially covered in detail in the book, along with we not just shifted our manufacturing industry, we gift wrapped and send all the intellectual proprietary rights and
Mm-hmm.
all
Mm-hmm.
kind of research and development, everything we send it to the gift wrapped and send it to the China.
So trying to save
So
money, trying to save money, they pass
in a with
the
a hunter
IP,
mentality.
they hand over all the IP to China, right?
Yeah. Now we gift wrapped and send it along with the just not just the manufacturing alone. We send even the knowledge also
Mm-hmm.
with that
Mm-hmm.
one, and
Just
we
to save
just
money, just to save money
say
to make more profit, right?
make more short term profit.
Mm-hmm.
Again the financial engineering,
Exactly.
quarterly profit,
They didn't
and the
exactly. They
bonuses.
didn't beat the camel, like you said.
Yeah, they
Nobody
build a
was thinking
bunch
about
of
the camel.
unicorns, a short
Yes,
term
there you
unicorn,
go.
quarterly unicorns, and
Okay,
they kill
look
the
what
camel.
happened. Look what happened.
Yeah, look what. Yeah, and we can't survive the storm. We can survive the desert. Like again. Now trying to bring now the China makes around, as I covered in my book, it makes around 30 to 40% of the goods in China. It is not just the manufacturing alone, the knowledge, the research and development,
And
all those
logistics.
underlying
And logistics.
logistics,
They
everything is
put a
based on.
product anywhere in the world. I don't know. I travel a lot all over the world, and if you go to Singapore,
Uh-huh.
Malaysia, all this area down there,
Mhm.
wow,
And
they are
especially with the
big.
Belt and Road Initiative, it used
Hmm.
to be the digital. Now the digital, with the digital Silk Road, everything underneath it, especially with the AI over here in this part of the world, the people know most part in this part of the world through the AI and Claude and Gemini and that kind of. They're looking at more from a consumeristic perspective, but application AI development is big way happening in China. Around
Wow, I didn't know that.
over 50 percentage of
Wow,
the
I didn't know that.
AI developers are based out of China, not in US, in China. So
Wow,
they're
really?
building the foundational stuff. Coming back to your point about the question about the
Wow.
manufacturing, trying to bring back everything to back to the whole industry is big way change. It's not just the AI, the robotics, the big way going to the factories they're going to bring it. Let me put it this way: as I mentioned, when Elon Musk brought the Grok AI, the biggest the computer center to the Memphis. Do you know how
Mhm.
many people they employed and how many people working for the AI, the biggest computer center in the like AI center in the world? When I looked at the last, maybe about a 1 month and a half ago, it's around 300 people working there. Do you know what kind of people
And they're
work for
working in
that?
China.
Work in that AI center? It is not the computer scientists. It is mostly the security guards,
Oh, really?
the people, the cleaners, and maybe some electricians.
So who's there?
The- so this kind of again my point is even if you're
Hmm.
bringing back the
Hmm.
manufacturing, it is not going to be the legacy kind of manufacturing with the full of labor. It is going to be with the mostly the robotics. It is going to come back. So just we need to bring
That's
it back,
the
but
only way to be competed, to compete, right?
That is, unfortunately, that's a world the way,
that we
the
live
things
now.
are
Yeah.
moving in, and like those who are making the decisions. But again, there is an opportunity to when you're bringing that kind of
Robotics
industry.
back.
Like you need to bring the knowledge workers, the knowledge laborers. Those who can work with the robotics, and those who can train. Still there is an opportunity. Again, it's not the traditional. First of all, bringing back all the 30-40% of what China makes to the US overnight, it is not that realistic. But we need to bring back the strategic industries. We need to, rather than, again, putting the tariff on anything on earth. We need to have a strategic mentality. We need to have a strategy, not the tactics. We need to identify the
A
industries which
long
is
term,
core.
long term strategy. Yeah.
Yeah, long term strategy. We need to address it in strategic way. We can't bring many of these things back to the overnight. To this kind of, yeah.
Yeah,
We
it's
need to have
exactly what you described. We have to start to create a solid foundation, but it happens so fast. Only 20, 30 years. I got a friend that told me that in the 90s, everyone in China was riding a bicycle. And look now, look now what happens. And I think that trying to balance out the well, I was not aware that that uh, that China was working so heavily in AI development. Uh, in on the other side of the world, but again, it needs a lot of computer power and and developments there. So, what last question is about um, financial health in business. Okay. So what do you recommend to people starting the business to go from 0 to 1 million or to 1 million to the million? What they should be looking at in order to keep sustainable financial health through the company?
First, they need to look at, instead of looking at zero, the $1 million figure, whatever the number figure, they need to look at from the perspective of, from, as I mentioned earlier, they need to solve the real problem. They need to look at from a perspective of the organization which can build last long, not the $1 million figure. All those, the money is just a byproduct of whatever. But if you solve the real problem, and if you build your organization built to last, and if you address, not the exit, in 2 years, 1 year, or whatever that, rather than, if you chase the patient capital, not the capital, which easy money, if you build it right, that is a way you need to approach it. Again, traditionally, I understand, especially in this part of the world, the mindset is, in the Silicon Valley or in the Wall Street, they're looking at a very short-term oriented on the quarterly focus. You need to have a focus of quarter century. You need to have an outlook. And if you look at many of the companies which you traditionally in this part of the world, it used to be second generation. You need to look at from a second generation, third generation running this kind of business, not a quick sell. That is how, if you're looking for a quick exit with a short-term mentality, that is how the 90% of the companies are fail. And you need to have a instead of a unicorn mentality, you need to have a camel mentality, which can
I love
last.
it.
Yeah, you need to weather all kind of storms and like the desert environment. Yeah.
And with that mindset, you are, if you build the camel right on the unicorn, your product is gonna be selling. You're gonna have cash flow. You're gonna have financial health. You might not need for investor, or if you bring an investor, will be that investor that actually bring a lot to the table, not only capital. but also distribution channels and things like this. So, Saji, if somebody want to, people are in love with our conversation, want to find out more about you, how people can find you, how this process works?
First of all, once again, I really appreciate the opportunity.
Oh, the pleasure is mine. I think you're brilliant. So clever. A lot of experience, yeah?
They can always... They can always find me, I don't know, like again, if they search in Amazon for The Gods Must Be Crazy Too, the book, no, not the movie, they can find me. There's another way of...
So the author is Saji Madapat.
Saji Madapat.
Saji Madapat.
This is the book, The Gods Must Be Crazy. And this is going to address, like again, in today's world, there are all sort of books giving you more and more problems, not the solution. This is going to address, and what we are facing today, it is not something happened overnight. And this is the stuff happening in the past half a century, 30, 40 years. These are the fundamental issues. Through this book, I'm addressing identifying the fundamental issues and giving them the strategic, proposing the strategic solution.
Wow.
This is the best way to find me is through the Amazon. You can go to the Gods Must Be Crazy Too,
and people can buy your book,
for
right?
the book. Yeah, they can. And another way is theyym.us, theyym.us. They go to through that way also. They can contact.
They can find you. Okay. Yeah, and thank you so much. Yeah, and then I think they might also be able to find you on LinkedIn. So thank you so much for being in the broadcast. Have been a pleasure, and for all of you following the podcast, see you now on next episode of Unstoppable. How brave entrepreneur like Saji Madapat break that wall and achieve the first million. Bye for now.
Follow us for more interviews with world's most influential, audacious entrepreneurs that overcame challenges and adversity, providing you with the blueprint of how they sold their first million so you can grow your business exponentially.